Okay, we are back. Let's say I haven't even, as I'm making this, I still haven't even posted part one. Part one was October, I don't know, whatever. And then I started, I finished that one. Then I went ahead and I started on a part two because I had a chance to go outside and work on this a little bit. It was right around like Thanksgiving. And it's been a few months. We're now at like the end of January, and I haven't even posted these videos yet, but it'll be posted by the time this comes out. But the arcade, the expansion's done. So, I mean, you've seen it in the other videos, so whatever, right? So we are back on this. I had a little bit of time today, so I'm just gonna, a little bit of odds and ends. Of course, I've always been thinking about this in the back of my head. That never changes. So first things first, now that it's in here, I realize you typically stand on the right side of a pinball machine when you work on it because the door opens to the other side. Now that it's in here, and that's why I have my workbench area set up over here, I don't like that the boards are upside down. So I kind of want to change it around, but I don't know if I can just spin the boards and still get the harnesses to fit wherever I want to. Maybe I'll do MPU up there, lamp board here. Well, no, solenoid driver board needs to be up there. I'm just thinking about the way the wiring is normally. Normally the MPU's up there. So I don't have a Weebly or anything yet. The Weebly may actually fit right there on Alltech. I guess I could measure one of my other games. Or it could be slightly under the chimes. I don't know. But yeah, then typically, well, normally there's nothing down here on these. So, because in some of them, you literally have the transformer and the rectifiers down in this corner. MPU's up there, lamp board. So, I don't know. I might have enough slack to just maybe move the lamp board down, put the MPU up there. Or that one's bigger. So, I don't know. Maybe swap those two. That way it's pretty much closer. And then it's just I don't know. I got to figure that out. The next thing I want to do is, because I do have people coming over in a week, and then I'm going to be gone for a couple weeks, and then we have a tournament at the house, and then blah, blah, blah. Not everybody's as good as seeing the finished picture, so to speak. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe today, or the next thing I'm going to do, I just want to kind of look at these boards for a minute. And then I'll move over to that. I'm actually going to go ahead and strip the top of the playfield, clean all the plastics, throw those in the oven. Because, I mean, that'll take half an hour. That's not a big deal. 15 minutes it'll be in the oven. But, I can remove them real quick. And then maybe, since it's already stripped, maybe go ahead and throw new rubbers on it just to see if I have, just basic white rubbers for it. But that way, at least whenever you walk up to it, and I got glass on here in the lock bar, I found an old piece of glass that's good, and I found a lock bar. But that way, at least whenever people walk up to it, I tell you what, though, you barely touch this thing and you end up with white paint all over the floor. So I was like, every time I touch this thing, I have to vacuum the room. So for now, am I missing? Okay, never mind. I thought it was missing a leg bolt. I just couldn't see it. So for now, I'm going to mess with these boards for a minute or two, and then I'm going to jump onto cleaning the playfield. So the next little update will just be, I'll give you a better, you guys have seen what the playfield looks like, but I'll give you a quick little glimpse at it before I strip it all down. So see you later. Okay, so this is kind of what I ended up with here, just kind of thinking out loud, so to speak. Transformer, kind of push it back out of the way a little bit. I'd like to be able, generally speaking, get to the MPU easy, get to the rectifier board easy. That's usually, where your problem. This is the size of a Weebly, so I was just kind of looking at it. It's going to fit right there, no problem. And then I went ahead and I was running some of the playfield wires, and I had some wires out just kind of dangling through here. Again, just making sure everything reaches, and a lot of this is all going to be extra that I can just cut off. So that's good. And then I can just run a single rail down all those, get all those edges, and then a rail right here for these two, and then, you know, shouldn't be a problem. And then the rectifier. So, but I like this setup. Also, I might put a peg on here just to make sure, but you know, I always want to make sure, like, if this bar drops, it's not going to hit anything. So this is kind of something else I was looking into, but that's what I kind of decided on, was go with that. I think all the wires are going to reach, but I need to get, what I need to do is get that stripped down to the bare minimum of what I need, and then make sure everything, you know, get rid of all the wires I don't need. So I'm down to the bare minimum, and then plug them all in, make sure everything reaches with slack, and that'll decide my final, you know, placement of where everything's going. So, but I'm going to drop the playfield and go ahead and strip and clean the plastic, stuff like that, and just kind of make it a little bit more presentable when people walk up to it and just like, what is this? You know, that way at least that looks pretty. So, but yeah, and then for now, I did go ahead and it's just, you know, I talked about putting the 2x4 on the back of this to prop it up. I just put a couple of cones back there with a rubber ring, so it's sitting in the notch, and then it's just leaned up against the, you know, a pipe that's back there, and I wrapped the pipe and, you know, protected it so that way the glass isn't touching the pipe. But for now, it's just, I'll fix it once I get a head on it. I'm not going to have the glass over here anymore. Once I get my little fake, the little fake head, kind of cool thing. It's actually going to be a clear piece of plexi. And then I basically had like a bumper sticker made of just like this, like 4 inches right here, right across the middle. And then I had written like, game over. Like when I had the sticker made, I edited it so in white it said game over. So I'll just have one little bulb in the corner that lights up, and you can see it through, you know, it's gonna light up a whole square. You know, I'll just put some foam. But yeah, I'll just say like game over here, and then it's just, and then I removed the 2 and I just tried to fade in the orange and yellow for player 2. And then the credit display is going to go on this one, the credit and ball, and the other one will be player 1. The only thing is I did shrink it a lot. So basically whenever I line up the displays behind it, there's not going to be the single digit. So if your score would have been 200,000, it's just going to be 20,000, because I'm going to drop off that last 0 because it'll only fit 5, not 6. So, but there you go. Next update will be, I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and fold this down, give you a refresh of what the playfield and plastics looks like, and then I'll go work on those. Okay, 5 seconds later. So here it is, all of its dirty, dusty. I haven't touched anything on here, so kind of hoping these shine. I mean, maybe they'll shine up okay, but for now, like I said, I just want to go ahead and strip all the plastics off, clean them, throw them in the oven, bring them back down, and then I'll work on, yeah, like going ahead and maybe throw new rubbers on it or start cleaning stuff on it. That way, just this looks a little bit more presentable. Because if the playfield looks really nice, and then obviously everybody knows the cab is junk, just let you know. So yeah, that one's kind of, it works. The what do you call it? The sleeve on the coils looks fine, looks like almost new, but that thing just, it does not move. That one moves just fine. But okay, let me strip all the plastics and I'll go throw them in the oven, and I'll show you what they look like after, you know. Check out those waves. I'll do the same thing when I'm done. I mean, obviously this one's really bad. That one's really bad. That one's, I would say normally that one's really bad, but it's not as bad as the other ones. Yeah, then we got a broken one over here. So once it's cleaned, and I don't even need to flatten that though. That's actually, I'll double check, but I think that one's flat. So, but I'll have to epoxy that back together. So, okay, see you later. Okay, thought I'd just throw this on there just to show you. Plastics are all off. It's kind of crazy how many bulbs are burnt out. You know, I mean, obviously that rubber's just falling off. Gonna need a good vacuuming. I mean, there's another burnt bulb. 2 more burnt ones. 2 more burnt ones. That one's probably burnt. That one's missing. So there's another burnt one. So let's, I'm gonna go scrub the plastics and throw those in the oven. Then I'll come down and I'll give this a good scrubbing. I'm debating, like, do I just want to put halogens back in here, or if I'm going for the nice play field with a crappy, you know, I want to have as much a dramatic difference as possible. So I'm thinking I might just go ahead and clean all the sockets and throw LEDs in here while it's apart. Long term, it'll get them anyway. So I might just go ahead and do that now. Yeah, even that bulb's burnt down there. So, okay, I'm going to go do the plastics, and then I'll vacuum this up and start scrubbing the playfield. Okay, so I went through, did all the rubbers. I used my little, that little gritty crayon thing to kind of clean out all the sockets, figure while it's apart. Did rubbers, cleaned all the posts. So they actually cleaned up pretty good. You know, and then just normal white rubbers everywhere. I did, so far at this point, I did do magic eraser kind of like underneath the posts and stuff like that. So you can see, I mean, this little area is cleaned up pretty good in here. So another thing, so these are the, well, I'll just leave them here. Those are the ones that came off of it. These are from my old 8-ball that I kind of cleaned up and I did plastics and stuff on. So that's from my old game. These 3, they look a lot better than those 3. So it'll at least get halfway better. Something I noticed inside of the body on the pop bumper is gone. Down there is gone. The little side of the body's gone. Side of the body's gone. So I do have these laying around. I kind of buy those in bulk. They're pretty cheap, so I'll usually, if I need 3, I buy 6 type of deal. So what I'm getting ready to do, the plastics have gone through the oven. They're done. But I'm going to give the playfield one good scrub of the whole thing. I mean, it's just real dry and gritty, so it feels pretty good, like, you know, where I just used the magic eraser. But just for now, I'm going to go ahead and just give it a good light scrub with the magic eraser, you know, kind of about as gentle as possible. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say the playfield's ruined. I've seen way worse than this. And the inserts are all pretty flat too, so that's pretty impressive. So, I mean, and I've touched up worse than this too. So, but that's like a pretty good gouge right there. Like that's that almost needs smoothing out. But, so right now, before I put the plastics on, I'm just going to go ahead and scrub the whole playfield, put a coat of wax on it just so it has something on it other than just bare dried dirt wood. Because I do have like my open house here in a couple days, and I just kind of want to get this a little bit more presentable, at least a little bit, so when people walk by, it's not just horrible. So that's only my main goal. So let me wipe this down real quick, put a coat of wax on it. While the wax is drying, I'll put all the plastics on. Well, no, because I'm going to wax underneath, because where I use the magic eraser, I'd like to get under a little bit. Not too worried about it, but at least the easy stuff to reach, get wax on everything. And then I'll probably just take those caps and just set them on there, because those bodies need replaced. And, you know, if I got these apart, which I will, I'll go ahead and throw maybe some red or yellow skirts on it or something. Maybe white. I don't know. White's going to look, I mean, I guess the rubbers are all white, but a bright white's is really going to pop. So I like to do like red or yellow. I mean, Matahari's got red and yellow on it, but that's might be how it was from the factory. Lost World. Lost World has a translucent red, so it kind of matches the post. I'll have to see what I have in stock. I could do some purple ones. No, they wouldn't match anything. I guess they match the 4 and the 12, but okay. Clean, wax. I'll be back in a second. Okay, here we go. I mean, it has a little bit of a shine to it. I put a really thick coat of wax on there, but I mean, it is what it is. You know, it's pretty good. I don't even remember if I already mentioned it. Those caps are from an old game. I think I mentioned it. Yeah, because these are the ones that were on here. So, yeah, I did mention it because I talked about there's holes in the bodies and stuff. Main thing, plastics. Like, look how flat that guy is. Like, I used to be able to fit my hand under there. Oh, I forgot. There's missing a cap. I can't get the bag open. So I did manage to find a bag of 100 of natural white. So I went ahead and threw those on there, just because, I mean, the old ones, well, that I can't even, but anyway. Yeah, normally when you're flattening plastics, it's like 13 to 15 minutes. Put them in between a couple sheets of glass. If you're doing, you know, try not to do a ton of them because it's just the weight of the glass is pushing them flat. At the 13-minute mark, these were still kind of like laughing at me. They looked the same. They were horrible. And I didn't even have half of them on that sheet of glass. And then of course, like I said, sheet of glass on top. So I grabbed an empty saucepan and set it on top of the glass and put it in there let it go for another, it was like 10 or 11 minutes. So yeah. But because my thought is, I mean, they were already ruined. So I was like, well, let's just keep going until they're flat. You know, I just kept checking on them. So they came out good. But yeah, it was like 25, almost 25 minutes in the oven at 225. And I mean, they're like, if I feel this, I can tell there's a little bit of a wave right there. You know, but I mean, you're being so picky at that point to try to, this is the one right here. It was completely broken on the bottom. On the underside, I cut a little plastic disc about the size of a quarter, roughed it up a little bit, and I just epoxied that clear disc to the bottom. So that's good. I found some old red rubber, so I just kind of threw them on here because this is how this is going to stay for a little while. Pretty much, I mean, obviously, it's going to stay like this until it works. This is good enough. So, I mean, unless, obviously, whenever it works, I can tell if I need to adjust any switches. Cleaned a bunch of them. Tried to clean all of them, but I may have missed some. The only downside is this is missing the red plastic to protect that bulb. That was stripped out and broken, so I couldn't just put a ring between those two. Because then it, you know, just kind of matches this side if I just put a band there, but that was broken. So for now, I went ahead and just kind of put it how it's supposed to be. But the guide that was there, the T-nut was broken to the bottom of the bolt. So I'm going to have to cut the bolt to get it out of the post so I can get it out of the guide. And I was like, okay, but for now, that's just drying. I put glue in there with some wood sticks, toothpicks, wood sticks, same thing. So that's kind of just together and drying in the proper place. And then what I might do is just, you know, in a couple days or whatever. I got a lot going on this week. Let's see, tomorrow's my wife's birthday, so I think she wants me to like have dinner with her or something. I don't know what she was planned. Wednesday is league, and Wednesday at lunch also I'm having two Cruisin' Exoticas shipped over, so they'll be supposed to be here Wednesday at lunch. Matahari is leaving, so I need to get a bunch of pictures of that because I'm going to copy pretty much the wiring from that to make sure the wiring for this is fine. Just kind of update all my notes because it's easier for me to just look at a picture of a plug than it is to read a wiring diagram. Be a lot quicker. You know, either way, I'm going to have to check the wiring diagram just to make sure everything's correct. But I missed some wax down here. I can see it in the light. Just kind of. So, but at least, I mean, I think this looks pretty good for, I mean, a lot of these 8-balls, this rack is just missing. I mean, it would need touched up a little bit, but it could be pretty, I mean, that's not what I'm worried about right now, but This is pretty good. Like if I was buying one of these at normal price nowadays, which a nice one's going to be, you know, well over $2,000 right now with the current prices. So, yeah, probably this one would still be like $1,800 or so, but not bad. But that's assuming the cab's in good shape and it works. So, well, that's going to wrap up this one for now. So I'll have to see where I'm at for timeline-wise, but I'm going to throw the glass in it, put the lock bar on it. I'm thinking for now, I'm going to move it to where it's up against the wall there, and then put my workbench kind of here, because that's going to get moved over kind of about right here. And I mean, you could easily, it's going to be about where the stool is. And I mean, I can easily walk through here, but I figure if I put that over there and have my workbench, it'll just kind of open up, you know, I don't know. But when Matahari leaves, I'll have plenty of room, but then also I have a rental coming in. So long term, you know, I got to have room for the rental. And then I'm thinking this might go in the other room where like the one up is, because by the time I can put it further into the corner because it doesn't have a head, yeah, it might go where the one up is over in the other room. So kind of interesting. And then I can just put the one up in here. Like the one up would end up kind of like Circus Voltaire is, and then this will be kind of more where Medieval Madness is, because the two Exoticas are going right here. So anyway, oddball project. I think it's coming along good. Obviously, the hard stuff is yet to come. This might be the end of part 2, depending on where I'm at for time. And then part 3 will just, really it's going to be attacking the wiring. I'm not sure, you know, if there's a day where I'm going to be working on this for several hours, I'll do some time-lapse video of me trying to plug through that. But I don't like doing time-lapse if it's only going to be like, you know, half an hour of me working, you know, because then the time-lapse ends up being like 30 seconds. And I don't know, I'm not going to worry about it that much. So I think this looks good. This is the main thing, is this looks good for, you know, because once it works, this is what matters. You know, look good, plays good. So with all the inserts being nice and flat, I like that. The whole insert might be down just like just barely, but it's not cupped at all. So they're perfectly flat. They might just be down here. So if I can just barely get a piece of Mylar in there, that would be perfect, which I have those Mylar levelers. So I might try to do that, but they're not cupped at all, which is really nice. So what was that? My Cleopatra, they're cupped really bad. So I'd have to do like a tiny piece of Mylar, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. That way it's like cone shaped, you know, and you kind of build up the middle thicker. So the middle ends up being like 4 layers thick. But, well, here's another 10 minutes added onto this clip. So we're probably good enough for section 2. And then, like I said, Wednesday's league, Thursday, I might get down here a little bit. Then, yeah, we have Friday, and then Saturday's the open house, so I don't have much time to mess around with stuff. Right now I am going to go ahead and move this into the corner, then vacuum up all the paint. As I work on this, the paint just falls off onto the floor, so I end up vacuuming like every time I get done. So, okay, that'll work. Maybe here in a couple weeks, since everything else is done, I'll end up posting the first part. So, oh yeah, then, yeah, crap, like 8 days, I leave for Florida. So, got that going on too, guys. So, anyway, see you guys later. Like, subscribe, do whatever, in case this is the last part of section 2. See ya. Okay, we are back. I just recorded a couple minutes and it was the wrong direction, so I'm starting over. We are back on Project Oddball, as you can tell. So I've been doing all that stun hyperball and all that fun stuff down there, and so we're down here in the corner working. So that's the Weebly that was out of another game, but I got that NPU working, so I have this for this game now. $30 rectifier that I just built about half an hour ago. It's all done, so it should be good. I don't know where that came from. I don't know why. I found it. I was going through boards and stuff, and that was sitting in there, so I'm not sure if I fixed another game and kept it or what was going on. But those are pretty easy to fix and repair. But my thought is I'll put it in here for now and just see, hopefully it's good. It'll be one less variable. So right now the main variable is that solenoid driver board, but that should be easy to test, and I have others that I can grab parts of off of or swap them out with. So we'll have to see like what voltages it does and doesn't have. So this is roughly where I think I want to put everything. I was kind of thinking keep this side in a line because that's where the metal bar will go, and I'll run that, the ground, and then I'll probably just have, 3 smaller ones and then space that up or stand that up. And then I can have a fan down here blowing air towards the back. And also that kind of has the hot stuff in the back to where you don't have the hot stuff in the front blowing hot air across everything else. It'll kind of put the cooler stuff up front and blow it towards the back. So it's a good thing that I haven't really started on this yet, because as you know, well, actually it's, if I can show you, CPR had their massive sale a couple weeks ago. So I bought a couple of play fields. So one of them is being a Meteor that I want to do a full restoration on. Why does that matter? If I end up finding a Meteor that has a rough body, cabinet, everything, what I might do is just spend the $800 on a new cabinet for Meteor. If I do that, then maybe I'll put this in the Meteor cabinet. I don't know. I also have a couple feelers out just looking for a head. So for now, I'm going to leave it a 4-player harness. I'm not going to trim and make the harness any smaller. I'm going to leave everything full length. So there will be kind of some wads of wiring in here kind of coiled up. It does make my life a little bit easier because now I don't have to trim all those. So that helps. But, if it ends up staying in this cab like this, yeah, I'm going to have extra wiring just kind of shoved in a corner somewhere, trying to keep it away from everything else. And then if it does end up in that'd be the only problem, is if it does end up in a coffee table, I'm going to have a lot of extra wiring just taking up space that I won't have much of. So that'll kind of be the only downside, is if it ends up in a coffee table. And I don't know. We'll have to see what the other play field in here is a Stars. There's a Meteor and a Stars in there. So even the Stars, if it needs a bad cabinet, same thing. So just kind of depends on what I end up finding to restore. I wasn't going to do a full restoration on a Stars though. But it would be nice because then I'd have a Meteor, a Stars, a Galaxy, and a Flight 2000, all 4 of those with new play fields. So that was kind of the reason for those. But my main thing is I want to do a full restoration on a Meteor. So anyway, pretty much what I did on the Playboy, but maybe even more detailed. So back to Oddball. I am starting on the wiring. So the first thing I have to do is plug. Basically, we're just going to start at the wall. Got to get the plug over there, the varistor, and all that fun stuff. So now will be the time when I need to repin all these. It goes to the rectifier, and transformer needs to be wired to the rectifier as well, obviously. Watch, this will end up when my whole plan goes to shit, because I'm going to find something on that transformer. Because if you remember, that's for like a old, it's from an EM. But we'll just have to see, this is when I got to compare the early SS to the, the newest EMs, see what's different about them a little bit. So I need to pull up and see exactly what that part number was again and remember, because now it's been 4 months or whatever. So, but I also thought about standing up that rectifier instead of leaving it down like that. I mean, I definitely have to space it up minimum, so because I'm going to have wires coming in from the back from the transformer. So I'm already going to have to put it on like 1-inch standoffs anyway. But I guess it's also going to have the rail under it, so I guess I can leave it down like that for now and just work on it. But the first thing I'd really like to do is jump on that transformer and just look at what lug is supposed to go what from the transformer to the rectifier and just kind of get that squared away. So there we go. Time for me to jump into wiring. So some wiring harnesses. See you guys later. Okay, well, I'm not even sure if I'm going to post the second part anymore. Because the second part was basically, you know, restoring this playfield. I've got it in really nice shape. I got the plastics really flat, stuff like that. But one thing I've tried to do is stay away from buying any 8-ball parts, just in case. I was going through working on all this stuff, working on the transformer. I was literally just doing the transformer wiring, and this transformer will not work that I have. So at that point, a new transformer, not even a new, well, they do have a new transformer, but it's kind of like a kit, which I'm not against that, whatever, it's on Pinball Life. But it comes with a rectifier, that's $300. Or I end up getting a used 45-year-old rectifier or whatever, it's still $300. Which at that point pretty much doubles the cost of this whole entire project. Which that's why I stayed away from buying 8-ball parts. So I have bought some Bally parts, but I can reuse that in other stuff. But as of right now, I think the 8-ball project's dead. I'm not going to spend $300 on a transformer whenever I don't have a head and I'm talking about doing stuff to the cab, you know, whatever. So I don't want to end up well over $1,000 into this kind of joke of a project. So this is getting dumb. So I think I'm going to call it.